Guys, save me and Dobby! We climbed up this tall skyscraper and the lava is rising higher and higher. How can we win this?
Why is the lava rising so fast? We needed to climb right to the roof of this skyscraper. Oh well, we'll have to start from the beginning.
After the failure at the skyscraper, we find ourselves on the Grandma's Cottage map. We greet our subscribers and suddenly the lava starts flooding the entire house. We quickly climb to the upper floor and take shelter there. The lava is flooding everything around us, but we're holding on. Our subscribers have chosen a great challenge. It's always nice to feel safe at Grandma's, even if there's hot lava underfoot.
In this situation, the key is not to forget about cleverness. We laugh, remembering Grandma's pies, which could now save us from the lava. The upper floor of the house turns out to be a great shelter, and we continue interacting with our subscribers, sharing our impressions. It's almost like a picnic, but with lava all around.
The next map is simply amazing. It's New Year's, there's a huge Christmas tree, and we need to do parkour to get to the top. Dobby jumps like a real pro, but unfortunately, only I make it to the top. Being alone at the top of the tree is a little sad, but our subscribers support me and that gives me strength.
Labrador is showing excellent skills in parkour, and I continue joking with the subscribers below. The tree is incredibly beautiful, and the New Year's atmosphere adds a festive feeling even in such a tense situation. We laugh, joke about the presents under the tree, and wonder if the lava might also want a present.
Yes, and this is no longer just a game, but a real fight for survival. The lava is literally right on our heels. All you need to do is find a secure spot on the tree. The branches are so fragile, and every wrong step could be your last. But standing on one of its levels, you feel like a true winner. The ability to adapt is the key to survival.
Yes, Labrador, exactly. At first, it seemed like a fun holiday. All those lights and snowflakes. But as soon as we took the first step, I realized this is no laughing matter. The map was one big pyramid with 3 levels, each one a labyrinth with lava that erupts as soon as you step on the wrong tile. But we're sheriffs for a reason. We immediately geared up for serious work.
That's right. The first level seemed easy enough. Dobby and I were jumping from platform to platform, avoiding lava flows and paving our way. But the higher we climbed, the harder it got. Over there on the upper level, we almost didn't notice how the lava started rising right below us. It was a real race against time.
You're right, Labrador. As soon as we reached the very center of the pyramid, we started losing our balance. That moment when you realize every platform is a challenge. The lava was closing in on us, and on the last level, we had to show our maximum agility to avoid its grasp. But we pulled through, as always. In our animal city, no threat can stop us.
Yeah, it was tense, but here we are at the finish line. The pyramid structure surrounded by snow, lights, and a festive atmosphere, it's not only beautiful, but incredibly difficult. The lava definitely couldn't catch us now, and for that, we've truly earned the title of the best sheriffs in Roblox.
Oh, absolutely! This mode was great training for us, and once again, we showed that we can handle any challenge, even when it seems like a children's game at first. No lava flows or dizzying heights will stop us from finishing the mission.
We found ourselves on a colorful tower, and as soon as the game starts, the ground will turn to lava. The task is clear. We need to climb to the top, avoid traps, and not fall. But here's the thing. Even such a simple route turns into a real challenge when there are so many clouds around, which can be both helpers and obstacles.
Yes, Labrador, only we understand that behind this parkour lies real danger. The lava shows no mercy, and if you're not fast and precise, you can lose precious time. Every step on these clouds requires full concentration, especially when you have to jump from one to another, not knowing if the next cloud will hold your foot.
And here it is, this intense scene. Dobby and I are climbing the tower, those clouds ahead of us, and we can already see the lava right beneath our feet. Just a few seconds, and we could be down there. In reality, every choice matters. Even that small pause when deciding where to jump could be the deciding factor. But Dobby and I won't let ourselves relax. We're sheriffs.
Exactly, Labrador. Even when it feels like you're about to fall, you realize every jump is a step closer to victory. On these maps, it's not just agility that matters, but also strategy. We've already been through challenges like this, In Roblox, it's important to know when to take risks and when to slow down to avoid ending up in the lava. Strategy and attention are the key points.
Not long ago, Dobie and I faced a real disaster. A new scientist had arrived in our town, Professor Cvetic. He was known for his unusual inventions, but one of his creations led to a great catastrophe. He had created a device that he thought would make the world brighter and more colorful, but the result was terrible. This device started changing the colors of everything around, and not only the colors, it was distorting reality, turning the world into something completely different. The water turned into lava, and the trees became giant multicolored stones. Dobie and I immediately understood that we needed to take action.
By the time we arrived at the scene, the town was already suffering from the consequences of the professor's invention. The water in the river was boiling like a volcano, and the flowers and plants were changing shape, becoming something unrecognizable. Professor Cvetic was in a panic. He said he hadn't intended for things to turn out this way, but the device had gotten out of control. In his laboratory, we found the device. It was a huge crystal emitting strange light pulses. Each of its movements changed everything around it. We realized that if we didn't stop the device, the consequences would be even worse.
First of all, we turned off the power to try to stabilize the situation. But the device was too powerful, and simply turning it off was impossible. We had to find a way to neutralize it, and to do that, we needed to get to the core of the device. Professor Cvetic told us that there was a special stone inside that was responsible for all the changes. We had to find it and stop it.
Labrador and I struggled to get into the professor's laboratory, where the device was still emitting bright flashes. We found the stone, which was connected to the energy source of the device. It emitted light like a rainbow, and when we touched it, we felt everything around us starting to change. The water began to turn into lava again, and the ground beneath our feet became soft like dough. We knew we had to find a solution quickly, or everything would be lost.
I suggested using an old deactivator model we found in a corner of the laboratory. We connected it to the stone, and with God's help, we were able to stabilize the device. The stone began to dull, and the world around us started returning to normal.
The water became water again, and the trees regained their usual shapes. But the aftermath wasn't as terrifying as we had feared, and the town became safe once more. We explained to the professor that his invention was too dangerous, and he promised never to conduct such experiments again.
Recently, in our animal town, something truly unusual happened. Dobie and I had just finished our regular night patrol when we received an alarming call. Aliens were planning to invade our planet. Yes, you heard it right. The message came through a cosmic signal, intercepted by special services. We learned that alien dogs from the planet Zorks were heading to Earth, and if we didn't stop them, they would take over our world. Faced with this situation, we realized we couldn't just sit idly by. We were about to become the first dogs to travel to space.
When we were told that we were the only ones who could carry out this mission, we didn't waste any time. We were sent to the Space Center, where preparations for the launch were fast and intense. We suited up in special spacesuits and met the team of scientists who would be assisting us. Our mission was simple. We needed to gather information about the aliens' plans and send it back to Earth. We never imagined we would become real space heroes, but that's how the situation turned out.
The launch was truly unexpected. We blasted off into space, and at the moment when Earth was far behind, I felt the full weight of this journey. The cosmos was endless and full of mysteries. We were heading toward the planet Zorks, trying to be cautious and avoid falling into a trap. Our journey aboard the spacecraft wasn't easy, but Dobie and I stuck together and kept our confidence. We knew this might be our chance to save our home planet.
Upon arriving at the planet Zorks, we were greeted by huge aliens. But fortunately, we discovered they weren't as menacing as we had thought. In fact, the aliens just wanted to learn from us how we deal with challenges on Earth. They weren't enemies, they just needed help to develop. Labrador and I shared our values with them: friendship, peace, and cooperation. At some point, we realized that instead of fighting, we needed to make contact and offer help.
The reason for the invasion of our planet was a super delicious ice cream that drove the aliens crazy. We proposed that every week we would send them ice cream, and in return, they would leave our planet in peace.
This experience taught us that in any situation, it's important to act with respect and look for peaceful solutions. Labrador and I will continue to protect our town, but now we know that even in space, we can find allies.
Thank you all for watching. Let us know what you'd like to see next on our channel. See you soon. Guys, help us! Quickly like the video, leave a comment, and watch it until the end, or we might fall straight into the lava.
Hello, everyone! Imagine you're stuck in an abandoned pizzeria where danger lurks at every turn. The main goal is to escape this creepy place. But be careful. The terrifying chef Papa Pizza is on your trail, cooking up his horrible dishes from human parts. Yes, you heard that right. This will be a true test of your agility and wits.
Welcome to our channel, friends. It's your sheriff's Labrador and my trusty partner Dobie back with you again. Today we have something special. We are embarking on an exciting adventure in a Roblox mode called Escape from Papa Pizza's Pizzeria. Dobie, tell everyone what challenges they'll face.
Oh yes, guys. You'll face puzzles, traps, and the need to quickly run away from this crazy chef. But don't worry, Labrador and I will be there to help you every step of the way.
Ready for an incredible adventure? Then get comfortable, gather your courage, and let's see if we can escape Papa Pizza's Pizzeria together.
Oh no, Labrador, where's the light? It seems Papa Pizza is after us. Hide, Labrador. We need to act quickly and precisely because Papa Pizza is right on our heels.
Oh, guys, he's right behind us. Do you see those scary eyes and that creepy apron? Papa Pizza is cooking his horrible dishes and wants to add us to the menu. We need to find a way out urgently.
Exactly, Labrador. Listen carefully, guys. To save ourselves, we need to find a hole in the floor and jump into it. It's our only chance to escape this crazy chef. Let's move quickly. We don't have much time.
We did it, guys. We're safe for now, but stay alert. There are always new challenges ahead in this game.
Thanks for being with us, and until the next adventure. Whew, that was scary, but we made it. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and leave comments about what modes you'd like to see next. And now we are...
Yes, in the stinky sewers. Oh, the smell here is terrible. But we have no choice, guys. To get out of here, we need to climb through a hatch. The problem is, Papa Pizza is waiting for us up there.
Exactly, Labrador. The hatch leads directly to the bathroom, and Papa Pizza is already there, ready to catch us. But we have a plan. First, we need to find the hatch and climb up carefully. Then we'll try to outsmart him.
I see the hatch ahead. Be careful and watch your step to avoid traps. Dobie, do you think we can outsmart Papa Pizza?
Of course, Labrador. We need to be smarter and faster. Guys, as soon as we climb through the hatch, be ready to act quickly. We need to figure out how to bypass Papa Pizza and escape.
Let's try. Here's the hatch. I see it. Is everyone ready? Climb carefully and quietly. Just like that. We're almost there.
Oh no, he's here! Run, guys, faster! We need to find a way out of this bathroom and avoid Papa Pizza. Labrador, where to next?
We got through that scary web. But how did Papa Pizza turn into Papa Spider? Oh no, we stepped on a spike. We'll have to start over.
Now we're navigating through a spiked trap. We have to be very careful not to get caught in them.
Yes, Dobie, this is definitely not a place you want to get stuck. Watch your step, guys, and stay away from those menacing spikes. We can handle this together. Stay close.
After this trap, another challenge awaits us. We'll have to do parkour over old pipes that could collapse at any moment. Be careful, guys, and help each other out.
Once this was an excellent establishment where all the animals of the city came for the best pizza. But something happened, and now Papa Pizza has closed his pizzeria and become incredibly evil. They say his secret recipe was stolen, and since then, he lost all interest in cooking. We're here to find out what happened and try to escape this creepy place.
Yes, Labrador, you're right. This place is filled with an atmosphere of eerie abandonment. Papa Pizza was famous for his recipes, but after the theft, he completely changed. Now the pizzeria is not a place of joy, but a labyrinth full of dangers. We must be careful. We just passed by the kitchen, and there was a huge pile of dough, as if Papa Pizza was trying to recreate his recipes, but failed. He couldn't make that magical pizza anymore.
We've seen how the pizzas turned into real traps. Remember that giant pizza that fell from the ceiling right in front of us? That's definitely not the pizza we're used to seeing. Papa Pizza has set up many traps here to make sure no one can escape. At one point, it seemed to me that he was wandering these corridors himself, guarding his lost empire.
Yes, this pizzeria has turned into a real nightmare. We went through the kitchen, and there were pizzas with teeth. Something incredible. And those pizza boxes that open and try to grab you certainly don't add any confidence. Papa Pizza clearly doesn't want anyone to get out of here alive. His malice has soaked every corner of this place.
Now we've reached the main hall and everything is turned upside down. Broken tables and chairs, scattered ingredients. Everything indicates that a real chaos happened here. Papa Pizza, losing his secret recipe, transformed from a kind chef into a real monster. We have only one option left. Find a way out of this madness and try to restore the pizzeria's former glory.
I agree, Labrador. We've overcome many challenges, but the most important one is ahead. Papa Pizza may be evil, but we've proven time and again that we can handle any difficulties. Let's keep moving to escape this place and perhaps help Papa Pizza find his former self.
Friends, I want to share a very secret story with you. It all started when we received several strange reports from the residents. They claimed they had seen a living pizza that moved on its own and seemed to have its own plans. At first, we thought it was a joke, but when the number of reports increased, it became clear that something unusual was going on. Dobie and I decided to check out these reports and went to the location where the most calls were coming from.
When we arrived at the scene, we were greeted by frightened residents pointing to Papa Pizza's pizzeria. It looked normal, but something was off. We cautiously entered and immediately noticed unusual tomato sauce marks on the floor. We followed these marks and ended up in a storeroom where we were in for a real surprise. There was a huge living pizza moving around and making strange noises. We realized it wasn't just alive, but also aggressive.
It turned out that this living pizza was the result of an experiment gone wrong by Papa Pizza. He had wanted to create the most delicious and unique pizza in the world by adding rare ingredients and a special magical seasoning to his recipe. But something went wrong, and the pizza gained its own consciousness and the ability to move. Moreover, it decided that it could become the ruler of the city and take control. Dobie and I realized we needed to act quickly to stop it.
We began to devise a plan to neutralize the living pizza. It was important not only to stop it, but also to ensure that something like this wouldn't happen again. We remembered that the magical seasoning could be neutralized by adding certain ingredients to the pizza. In search of these ingredients, we turned to our friends in the city, and soon we had everything we needed. The hardest part was getting close to the pizza to add the ingredients, but our teamwork and determination helped us succeed.
After several attempts, we managed to neutralize the living pizza. It lost its movement and became just an ordinary pizza. We returned it to Papa Pizza and explained what had happened. He was shocked and promised not to use magical ingredients again. The city regained its peace, and all the residents were grateful for our rescue.
This story was an important lesson for us about how experiments can be dangerous if you don't know when to stop. We realized that our job is not just to protect the city from external threats, but also to prevent internal problems. From now on, we will always be more careful with any unusual events, so that such incidents won't happen again.
We finally made it out of that pizzeria. These challenges were pure hell. Pizzas with trap flavors, trampolines throwing us into endless nightmares. But now, even more adventures await us. The forest. And it seems Papa Pizza hasn't forgotten about us. He's still on our tail. We need to find a way out through these dark trees, or we'll end up in his clutches forever.
This forest is really creepy, Labrador. It's as dark as a basement, and I can hear something rustling in the bushes. We've survived the pizzeria traps, but this will be even harder. The key is finding those trash bins with fences. I'm sure that's our only chance to escape. We need to climb, jump, and then we'll be able to get away from Papa Pizza.
Do you hear that? It's him! Papa Pizza won't back down. He's chasing us, and we need to move fast. Those trash bins with fences are our way out. But no matter how hard we try, this forest feels endless. We'll have to jump and hope that the next trash bin is the one that will lead us out.
No shadow or sound will stop us, Labrador. We've already gone through the horrors of the pizzeria, so this forest is just another obstacle on the road to freedom. The key is not to lose our heads. We're almost there. Let's jump over the fence and break free from this forest like real sheriffs.
Here it is, the spot. We're at the last trash bin. This is our chance, Dobie. We need to jump straight into the darkness, but I believe there's an exit there. Let's go.
We did it, Labrador. Just a few more steps and we're safe. Papa Pizza didn't catch us, which means we're free again. See you soon, friends.
Here we are, friends. The pizzeria is behind us, and the forest too. We've gone through all these trials, and despite Papa Pizza trying to catch us, we broke free. I hope you enjoyed our adventure and didn't forget about us while we were running away from that giant pizza. Hi, friends. Welcome to our new video on Roblox. Today we're exploring the exciting game, Escape from Baby Bobby's Kindergarten, Obby Mode.
Hi, Labrador. Hi, everyone. We're in for a real endurance test.
I'm Sheriff Labrador, and this is my trusty partner, Sheriff Dobie. We're going to show you how to escape the most guarded kindergarten in the world. Hi, Dobie. Dare Garden, Obby Mode.
This kindergarten is something special. We'll face plenty of obstacles and traps, not to mention the terrifying giant baby that's patrolling the area.
That's right, and let's not forget about the super modern security systems that will try to stop us. We'll need to use all our skills to navigate jumps, avoid being chased, and even cross boiling magma.
Exactly. And at the end, there's going to be an epic battle with Baby Bobby himself. This will be an unforgettable adventure.
Whoa, did you see that scary face? That's the baby we need to escape from.
We need to defeat him to get out of here.
Dobby, look, that's his crib. We need to get through this parkour section to avoid running into the giant baby. Be careful. There are lots of traps here.
Got it, Labrador. Lasers, moving platforms, and even floating cubes. We need to be careful and precise.
Look, moving platforms ahead. Hold on, I'll jump to the first one. Ready? Ready. Jumping after you. Great. Hang on, Dobby. We're on the right track. Just remember, the baby could spot us at any moment. Look, Labrador. Magma below us. One wrong step and we'll be in trouble. Be careful.
Phew, that was close. I almost fell, but I managed to grab on. Great job, Dobby. Keep up the pace.
We're almost halfway there, but there's another section with spinning blades ahead.
I see them, Labrador. We need to time our jump for when the blades are at a safe distance.
Look how creepy and beautiful it is here, guys. We're in a kindergarten. Have you ever seen anything like this at a kindergarten? As I understand it, this little baby Bobby has taken over this kindergarten and made it his home.
Baby Bobby is huge, and everyone was scared and ran away. But today, Labrador and I are taking the kindergarten back for everyone. We'll have to defeat Baby Bobby in his challenges. Even though he's small, he's really smart, and he's definitely got something planned.
Dobby and I just conquered one of the toughest parkour sections in this mode. But the scariest part is yet to come. We need to crawl through this ventilation shaft without waking Bobby up. It looks like he's sleeping in his bedroom, and if we make any noise, it's all going to reset. So we need to act like real spies.
Yeah, Labrador, I'm even afraid to breathe. We're so close, but if Bobby wakes up, we'll have to do another parkour section and face a ton of nasty surprises.
We woke him up. Look, he's up and rushing right toward us. We need to think fast, or he's going to turn us into his toys.
Labrador, let's run to that huge toy maze. He won't be able to catch us quickly with all those obstacles.
Great plan. Let's go faster. We need to slip between those giant blocks and soft teddy bears. You go first. I'll follow you.
I'm already in the maze. It really slows him down. Labrador, look ahead. There's a big slide. If we slide down, we'll have a chance to break free.
I see it. Let's go faster. Sliding down now. He's still at the other end of the maze. We have time.
Wow, that was awesome, but he's still right behind us. Look, ahead. There's a play area with lots of stuffed animals.
Yes! We outran him. Look at him. He's so cute. He's crying because he couldn't catch us. He wanted to play tag with us, but he lost. And now he's crying. I don't know why, but I really feel sorry for him now. He's still just a baby, even though he's super smart and super big. Ahead, there's another ventilation shaft. Where is it going to lead us this time? Ouch! Dobby, are you okay? We landed right in the belly of this giant baby.
Yeah, Labrador, I'm okay, but we need to get out of here as soon as possible. We're surrounded by stomach acids and food. We have to move fast.
I agree. Look, there's a tunnel ahead. Maybe it leads to his esophagus. If we can get through it, we might have a chance to escape.
Good idea. Let's move carefully so we don't slip. Stay close, Labrador. It could be slippery here.
I see the tunnel. It's narrow, but we can definitely make it through. Let's go one at a time. I'll go first.
All right, I'm right behind you. It's dark and damp here. Stay alert. We're almost halfway.
Dobby, look, there's light ahead. It looks like the exit. We need to hurry.
Labrador, that's definitely the exit. Let's go faster before he swallows us again.
One day, something terrifying happened in our town. The evil villain we had been chasing for a long time decided to poison our friend, Sheriff Papillion. He hid a dangerous substance in a lollipop and planned to give it to her so she wouldn't be able to continue her work. Papillion was the town's favorite, and everyone was worried about her. Dobie and I realized that if we didn't act quickly, the consequences would be disastrous. However, this villain was sly and very tricky. We needed to come up with something special.
We immediately remembered a new technology developed by the scientists of the Animal Town. It was a special device that allowed us to shrink down to the size of ants. This technology had already been tested, and we decided it was the key to solving the problem. Dobie and I went through several preparation steps and activated the device. In an instant, we shrank to tiny sizes to get to the place where the villain had hidden the poisoned lollipop.
And when we became small, the world around us changed. Every object that we knew now seemed gigantic. Dobie and I moved quickly despite our size, and soon we reached the place where the villain had hidden the lollipop. We had to be careful not to be spotted. But thanks to our new technology, we could use all the hiding spots and sneak into even the tiniest cracks.
We reached the lollipop and discovered that the villain had mixed a dangerous substance into it. Everything was at risk. We needed to act fast to stop Papillion from being poisoned. We carefully moved the lollipop to a safe place and neutralized it. When we returned to our normal size, we felt not only relief but also pride. We had saved Papillion.
When we returned to our normal size, Papillion didn't even suspect she had been in danger. We told her what had happened, and she was incredibly grateful for our help. The villain was caught and arrested, and the town could breathe a sigh of relief again. Dobie and I realized that sometimes, to defeat evil, you need to be not only fast and brave, but also smart, ready to use the latest technology for the good of our town.
Since then, I've always remembered how important it is to work together and use all available resources to protect those we love. And although size doesn't always matter, on that day, it played a crucial role.
Guys, there's a very secret story. Sheriff Papillion told no one to talk about it, but we'll tell you because you're our best friends. Our loyal friend and colleague, Sheriff Papillion, got into some real trouble. She was on an important mission, trying to uncover the case of a secret criminal organization. Everything was going well until something unexpected happened. Guys, we need to defeat this boss. How we'll do it? I'll continue telling the story about Papillion. Dobie, we need to find a weapon fast to deal with the boss. The RPG should help us take him down quickly.
Right, Labrador? Let's find it. Here it is. I've found the RPG. Now let's get ready for the battle.
There he is, the boss. Wait, no, that's not him. Those are clones of the giant baby. They're everywhere. We need to take each one down.
They're everywhere, Labrador. Be careful. We need to act accurately and quickly. I'm starting to fire. The first one's down, but there are so many. The second one's ready. Don't give up, Labrador.
They're advancing. Another one's down. Hold the line, Dobie. There are too many, but I'm sure we can handle it. Dobie, this feels like a nightmare. We're fighting these baby clones endlessly. They keep coming back, and we can't defeat them.
Yeah, Labrador, this is crazy. We shoot them down, they disappear, and a second later, they're right back in front of us. We need to find a way to stop this endless wave.
I don't understand how we got here. They're so persistent. It's like they were made for an infinite battle.
Congrats to everyone on the victory, but it's not over yet.
Dobie and I were patrolling the streets when we got the signal that Papillion had gone missing. At first, we thought she had just gotten lost, but soon it became clear that she had been captured. This organization was clever and sneaky, and they knew exactly how to stay unnoticed. We had to act quickly.
When we found out that Papillion was in danger, time was against us. We immediately started gathering information and found traces leading to an abandoned factory on the outskirts of the city. I knew we had to proceed with extreme caution, as the enemies were well prepared. Labrador and I headed there, but as soon as we got close, we were met with traps and guards. We had to figure out how to get inside without getting caught.
We decided to move quietly. I used my stealth skills and Dobie had a backup plan. We snuck past barricades and found Papillion in a cage. She gave us crucial information about the criminals planning even worse things if they got free. We knew we had to act fast.
Finding Papillion was tense, but our teamwork helped us neutralize the guards and free her. As we made our way out, we encountered the main villain. We couldn't overpower him, but we outsmarted him until backup arrived.
Back in the city, everyone was grateful. We had prevented a big threat, and Papillon thanked us. It was a reminder that in danger, staying calm and supporting each other is key.
Labrador and I will always have each other's backs, because in our city, friendship and support help us face any challenge.
Thanks everyone for watching. I know I dance really well, but we'll see you in the next mode.
Labrador, you dance so beautifully, it's true. Wait, I just remembered what the next mode will be, and I'm scared to go through it. Guys, please give me a like.
The day started as usual, with a strong cup of coffee and another morning briefing. I was going through reports when my radio suddenly blared with an urgent alarm. The dispatcher's voice was shaking. Something unimaginable had happened at the Rainbow Meadow Kindergarten. Eyewitnesses reported that the Sprunkies had suddenly appeared in the center of the building and were now holding it under siege. Inside were teachers and children. Dobie had just entered the station, holding a box of donuts in his paws. But as soon as he heard the call, he immediately set it aside. This was an emergency.
When we arrived at the scene, we were met with a sight straight out of a horror movie. The Sprunkies, eerie with elongated snouts, soulless eyes, and chaotic movements, filled the entire playground. They swayed back and forth, emitting strange sounds, and looked as if they were about to lunge at anyone who came too close. Panicked adults were running in all directions. Chaos had already engulfed the building, and we knew there was no time to waste.
The first thing we needed to do was find out if there were any injured people inside. As we approached, one of the teachers informed us that all the children had barricaded themselves in the playroom on the second floor. They were scared but safe for the moment. The only problem was that they couldn't get out. The main entrance was blocked by the Sprunkies, and fire had cut off the emergency exit. The creatures were watching our every move and clearly weren't going to let us through without a fight.
We decided to split up. Labrador would distract the monsters while I tried to get inside through a window. The Sprunkies tilted their heads as Labrador pulled out a megaphone and turned the siren to maximum volume. The loud noise made them flinch. They turned toward him and began twitching rapidly, their movements growing more erratic. At that moment, I ran to the window, pulled out a crowbar, and struck the glass with all my might.
The Sprunkies saw me as a threat, and one of them lunged forward, jerking and writhing strangely. I barely managed to jump back as it reached for me with its long arms. Meanwhile, Dobie was already climbing inside. I had to hold these monsters back, or they could break into the building. I spotted a fire hydrant nearby and rushed toward it without hesitation. I needed to open it and try to douse the Sprunkies with water.
Inside the building, the atmosphere was eerie. Faint rustling sounds filled the air, and the shadows of the Sprunkies flickered behind the windows. The children huddled in a corner, trembling with fear. I promised them I'd get them out and told them to hold hands. We started making our way to the exit, but suddenly there was a loud creak. A ceiling beam collapsed, blocking our path. We needed to find another way out.
I struck the hydrant several times with my baton, and a powerful stream of water burst out. The Sprunkies shrieked as their bodies twitched violently. They recoiled, as if the water was causing them pain. I quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for a way to finally subdue them. Then an idea struck me. I could use the nearby construction cranes to trap the monsters.
We found a passage leading to an old storage room. There was a back door, but it was jammed shut. The children huddled together in fear as I tried to break it open with my shoulder. The smoke was getting thicker, the air hotter. We were running out of time. I grabbed a metal pipe and used it as a lever. The door finally gave way and we rushed outside.
The Sprunkies started moving toward us, their motions becoming sharper and more erratic. This was our last chance. I sprinted toward the construction crane, jumped into the cabin, and yanked the controls. A massive net filled with steel beams swayed in the air. The Sprunkies moved chaotically, but I had timed it perfectly. I released the load right on top of them. The beams struck their elongated bodies, knocking them down.
I saw the children running into the arms of their relieved parents, but the Sprunkies were still moving, albeit slowly. They struggled to rise, their limbs writhing. At that moment, specialists in anomalous creatures arrived. They used a special energy field, and within minutes, the monsters froze in place.
We stood there, catching our breath, watching as the specialists loaded the Sprunkies into special containers to transport them to a laboratory for further study. The children were safe, the firefighters had put out the flames, and the teachers couldn't stop thanking us. Dobie and I exchanged a glance. Another case closed.
As everything settled down, I looked at the spot where the Sprunkies had stood just moments ago. This was one of the toughest challenges we had ever faced, but the most important thing was that no one got hurt. We had done our job. And now I think it's time to head back to the station and finally finish those donuts I left behind before this crazy day began.
But just as we were about to leave, the dispatcher came through again. Another call, another danger. It looked like our day was just getting started. As soon as we arrived at the station, it was clear. Something was seriously wrong. The lights flickered, strange scraping sounds echoed from deep within the tunnel, and passengers whispered nervously, casting uneasy glances into the darkness. The train hadn't moved, and the conductor wasn't responding.
We cautiously descended, illuminating our path with flashlights. An eerie silence filled the air, broken only by the distant dripping of water. As we approached the train, a long metallic creak rang out. The doors of the carriage slowly slid open, even though no one had touched them.
We stepped inside and immediately sensed we were not alone. The dim light from our flashlights revealed rusty seats, claw marks on the walls, and dark stains on the floor. Then, at the far end of the carriage, I saw movement. A jerking, unnatural silhouette, frozen between reality and nightmare.
It was them, the Sprunkies, but in a different form. Their bodies merged with the shadows, stretching into unnatural shapes. They hovered in the air, watching us without eyes, yet with an unmistakable awareness. At that moment, I realized running wasn't an option. We would have to fight again.
One of the Sprunkies moved forward, its figure twitching in sharp, unnatural jerks, like an old broken film. I pulled out my taser and fired at the approaching creature. The electric shock coursed through its body, making it waver, but it didn't disappear. We needed another way.
I spotted the control panel near the doors. If we could restart the system, maybe the emergency lighting would help us. But before I could reach it, one of the Sprunkies lunged at me, forcing me to retreat. Its long arms stretched toward me, and a rasping sound like a whisper escaped from its throat.
I grabbed a fire extinguisher near the door and sprayed a stream of gas directly at the Sprunkies. They hissed and recoiled. Apparently, carbon dioxide affected them just like water had before. Dobie took advantage of the moment and flipped the switch. A blinding light flooded the carriage, and the Sprunkies froze as if paralyzed.
They began to dissolve, fading into the air, leaving behind only the sharp scent of metal. We found the train conductor unconscious, but he was slowly coming to. We evacuated the passengers, and the specialists who arrived later detected strange interference in the metro's electrical system.
Hello friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we're taking on a series of challenges together with my friend Dobie.
Hey everyone! Yeah, just like Labrador said, we're playing a challenge map in Roblox. The mode is called Escape from the Dungeon.
Our first challenge is parkour on barrels over a huge lava pit. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. Phew, we made it through this challenge. Now we move on to the next one. We have to jump across wooden planks, but the most important thing is not to fall.
Dobie, how do you like this mode? I really enjoy it. The harder the challenges, the more I start loving this game.
I agree, Labrador. This map is amazing. Very well designed and detailed.
Let's move on to the next challenge. We have to run under giant spikes in time. If we don't make it, we lose.
Labrador, this is terrifying. One wrong step and it's game over.
Don't worry, Dobie. We'll get through it for sure.
We did it, Labrador, but we can't relax. There are even harder challenges ahead.
Now we're climbing up a ladder and entering a strange room filled with chests. We need to open them all and find the key to the door.
Oh, Labrador! We have to find the key to escape from this scary room.
I've opened so many chests, but still no key. Dobie, how about you?
Labrador, come here. I found the key.
Hooray, we're out!
On the next level, there are invisible traps under our feet. Labrador, we have to get through this level on our first try.
We're slowly making our way through, carefully jumping over the invisible traps.
Yes, we cleared this level on the first try. Teamwork makes anything possible.
Now we have to climb down giant wooden beams, but we can't fall. There's poisonous water below, and if we fall, we lose.
I agree, Labrador. We can't afford to lose now.
Dobie, we're so close to beating this level.
Yes, Labrador. We're almost there, and we did it. We're moving on to the next challenge. Let's grab the checkpoint. Up next is parkour on rocks, but if we fall, we'll get crushed and lose.
Oh no, Dobie, we fell. Is this the end?
Don't worry, Labrador. That's why we took the checkpoint. We have another chance.
Yes, we did it, and we're moving forward.
We finished the parkour, and a boulder pushed us straight into the next challenge.
Now we have to jump from rock to rock at super speed. Below us is a huge sea of acid. If we fall, we lose.
Phew, Labrador, we made it through this level.
Friends, quickly hit the like button and watch the video until the end, so that the evil doll lets me go. What? Where are we, Dobie?
I don't know, but it looks like a children's room with toys everywhere.
Wait, this is something strange. It looks like we've ended up in a room full of evil dolls. Hey everyone, today Dobie and I are trying to escape from the house of evil dolls.
Wow, what's ahead of us? Many scary trials and puzzles. Our goal is not just to get out, but to defeat the evilest doll.
Look at this room. It has a strange atmosphere, kind of like childhood memories.
I agree. We've come back to our childhood, but this is definitely not the place we'd want to be.
It seems like we need to go through this narrow passage. It looks like it leads straight to the house. I hope the doll doesn't start hunting us right away.
We found some candy. I wouldn't try it. Who knows? Maybe she poisoned them. We need to collect 10 of these candies.
Looks like we need to jump here. Let's put that off for now and explore the house. Maybe we'll find something useful.
Here's another candy. Yay, a checkpoint. This means if we die, we can come back here. Look at how much she loves her portraits. Seems like you took your words too literally. It wasn't worth dying just to check. I thought you could go through there. There's another hole ahead. Should we go down? It looks like a place straight from hell, but not exactly.
There's a mountain of dishes here.
For me, a mountain of dishes is real hell.
I hate washing dishes. I actually like it. I turn on my favorite music and sing along. It really lifts my mood.
Strange. Looks like no one's cleaned here in years. Maybe she just buys new dishes instead of washing the old ones.
Yeah, that makes sense. I can't find another explanation for this mess.
It seems like we still have a long way to go. I can't see the end. These arrows seem hypnotic, like they were made to cause hallucinations.
Did you notice? The floor is like lava, but roses are growing in it. Looks like hallucinations.
I see them too. Nice, we've reached another checkpoint. Seems like the end is near. I hope there's no parkour ahead.
I'm a little tired already. These toys, I feel like there's something sinister about them. Maybe the souls of children are trapped inside.
Brr, creepy. By the way, did you know that the toys in the game Poppy Playtime aren't actually bloody, but a mix of red poppy? I've been studying the plot of this game recently. It's pretty interesting.
No, I didn't know that. I'll have to check it out sometime. But look, we've been tricked. This isn't the end. However, I can see a house in the distance. Looks like we need to head there.
Let's hurry. I even see a Ferris wheel. That looks like an interesting place. I wish the amusement park were near the police station. Hey, Labrador, have you ever thought about candy?
Of course, who doesn't love it? Do you have a favorite candy?
I think my favorites are chocolate candies with nuts. What about you?
I prefer caramel candies. They're so tasty, like sweet music in the middle of the workday.
Sometimes caramel is a real lifesaver. But you know what's better than candy? I don't know. Maybe even more candy.
Just look at her. Why is she sitting there, staring at us and not even greeting us?
It seems like she's pretending to be a lifeless doll, but in reality, she's watching us. That's much creepier.
Maybe we need to find a way to open the gate. Here's a button. We need to press 3 of them. It also says we can hide. Clearly, a dangerous trial awaits us.
Let's go. Look, she's coming down on her long braids. How does she even see anything with those eyes?
Oh no, let's hide quickly. We need to observe her from a safe place.
Let's climb higher. Maybe she won't see us.
Did you see her braids flashing past the room? I would hold my breath.
Let's not forget our main task. We still need to press 2 more buttons.
Good thing we looked around. It's always useful to check everything. There are many rooms here where we can hide, so this trial won't be too hard for us, especially with our experience.
I keep hearing her whispering. It's really unsettling.
The City of Beasts has always been a place where the most unusual events happened. But one of the strangest occurrences took place when the candy monster appeared. It all started when a new candy factory opened in our city. All the residents, especially the children, were thrilled. The factory promised the most delicious and unusual candies. But soon, strange things began to happen. The children complained that the candies started behaving strangely. They seemed to come to life and move. Things got even worse when a real monster, made of sweet treats, broke free from the factory.
This candy monster was terrifying. It was huge, with caramel eyes and lollipop teeth. Every time it stepped on the ground, the sound of cracking candy filled the air. and the atmosphere was filled with a sweet but unpleasant odor. It began to destroy everything in its path. Stores, homes, and even roads. Labrador and I had to intervene urgently. We started investigating what exactly caused the appearance of this monster. We found out that all the candies at the factory were made using experimental ingredients that gave them monstrous power, but also caused unusual mutations.
Dobie and I decided to act quickly. There was no time for a long investigation. We needed to stop the monster urgently. Using our skills and new technology, we managed to find its weak spot. Upon arriving at the factory, we discovered that, despite its terrifying appearance, the monster was actually vulnerable. All the candies that made up the monster were controlled by a single mechanism. We realized that if we disrupted this mechanism, the monster would disappear.
We decided to infiltrate the factory where the monster was created. It was dangerous, as each step could lead to further destruction. But Labrador and I acted swiftly and confidently. Soon, we found the most important part of the factory, a secret storage of the ingredients used to create these living candies. We destroyed the special machine that generated them and immediately began to notice the monster losing its strength. It started to shrink and disappear until it turned into a pile of regular candies.
When the candy monster vanished, the city was once again filled with peace and tranquility. The factory was closed, and all its dangerous ingredients were destroyed. Dobie and I returned to the station, reflecting on how unusual events can affect our city. We realized that sometimes even the most harmless things, like candies, can lead to real catastrophes. But thanks to our teamwork and skills, we managed to stop this threat.
After we defeated the candy monster, our city returned to normal life. Labrador and I understood that it's not only important to solve problems, but also to prevent them, so such disasters don't happen again. The city became safe again, and the children could once again enjoy their sweets without fear. But we always remembered this incident because, as strange as it sounds, candies might not be as harmless as they seem.
In our city of beasts, there has always been no shortage of unexpected events, but one day something truly unusual happened. It all began the day the circus came to town. Among the many attractions and shows was a huge toy store. All the little animals eagerly went there to pick out new toys. But by evening, Dobie and I received a strange call. A mysterious virus had infected the toy store, causing all the dolls in the shop to come to life. They began to move and speak, and some of them became aggressive, causing panic among the children and parents.
When we arrived at the scene, the situation was already under control, but the tension in the air was palpable. We saw the dolls in the shop's windows one by one, standing up and crawling out. Some of them looked friendly, but others, not so much. They started marching through the city, scaring the residents. It was clear that this virus, which had infected the toys, was far more serious than we had thought. Instead of delighting children, the dolls had become a threat to the whole community. Labrador and I immediately began our investigation.
It turned out that the virus that turned the toys into living beings was the result of an experiment by a scientist who once worked with circus dolls, trying to create robots that could mimic living creatures. He had accidentally created something that developed self-awareness. These dolls were no longer just toys. They began to think and make decisions. Some of them didn't like being mere toys for children, and they decided they needed more freedom.
Realizing that we were up against not just ordinary toys, but sentient beings, Labrador and I decided to proceed with caution. We started tracking the dolls' every movement, but they were too fast and agile. We needed to find a way to stop the virus that had brought them to life, or else they could take over the entire city. We set up special equipment to investigate how the virus worked, and soon discovered its source. A strange control panel hidden at the center of the toy store.
We quickly infiltrated the store, and with the help of special devices, we disabled the control panel. But, unfortunately, the virus had already spread so much that even without a control source, the dolls kept moving. However, when we activated the program to neutralize the virus, the dolls began to slow down and eventually stopped altogether. It felt like a miracle. But we knew that it wasn't just about defeating these animated toys. We also needed to figure out how to prevent similar incidents in the future.
Once all the dolls had returned to being just toys, Labrador and I went back to the station to assess the damage and analyze how we could prevent such situations. we realized that even the most harmless things, like dolls, can lead to big problems if they're not properly controlled. But the most important thing was that we had prevented a disaster and restored safety to the city.
That's it, friends. We finally defeated the evil doll queen. This battle was a real challenge. See you soon, friends. Friends, Peppa Pig has turned evil and wants to make me just like her. Watch the video until the end to save me. Hello, friends. Today we find ourselves in the most unusual place, the house of Peppa Pig, which has turned into a prison. It's a real nightmare. Peppa and her family have become very mean, and now we have to escape from here.
Yes, Labrador. Hello, everyone. We entered the house and everything looks creepy. Peppa was always a sweet pig, but something has changed her. Now she and her family run this prison. We need to figure out what happened and get out of here.
Peppa used to be just a playful pig, but it seems something has really angered her. Maybe it's because she's tired of the constant attention and noise around her family. Her world has become dark, and now she's trying to trap everyone who enters her house.
I think her anger might be related to feeling lonely and misunderstood. Her house is now full of traps and dangers. We need to be very careful not to fall into one of them.
Our journey will not be easy, but we will definitely make it. The main thing is to stick together and not lose hope. We will find a way to escape and bring Peppa back to her kind self. Guys, have you watched cartoons with Peppa Pig? I watched, and I remember that she was always a very kind pig, but look at what she has become.
With each new room, it gets scarier. Peppa's house is full of secrets and dangers, but we are not giving up. We will definitely find a way out and uncover the mystery of why Peppa and her family have become so mean.
Don't forget, friends, that together we can overcome any difficulties. We will go through all the obstacles and find our way to freedom. Stay with us. This will be an exciting adventure.
Stay close, and we will definitely escape this prison. Our mission is to set everything right and make Peppa's house bright and cheerful again. Onward to adventure.
Perhaps something important awaits us at the end of this journey. Maybe we can find a way to reconcile Peppa with her feelings. But for now, we need to focus on each step, on each challenge. Every success brings us closer to our goal. Do you see how creepy it is here? Guys, like the video and subscribe to the channel.
And with each step, we become stronger. This adventure teaches us that even in the darkest places, light can be found. We will learn to handle any difficulties and always keep moving forward.
Dobie, we've been through a lot, but this challenge is special. We are not just fighting for our freedom, but also for Peppa's freedom. This makes our adventure even more meaningful. This Roblox map reminds me of something. I have a feeling we'll be fighting a Peppa Pig boss at the end, so watch until the end.
We will definitely get out and help Peppa. It's our duty as sheriffs and friends. We will overcome all obstacles and bring peace back to Peppa's house. I can't believe this used to be her home. I watched the cartoons and visited Peppa's house before, and it was completely different. Honestly, I'm very scared, Labrador. I hope the viewers aren't as scared as I am.
A few months ago, Dobie and I decided to visit our friends in the neighboring town. Peppa Pig had invited us to a party in honor of her younger brother George's birthday. We arrived early in the morning and were happy to see the town preparing for the celebration. Bright garlands were hung everywhere, and cheerful music was playing.
At Peppa's house, it was very fun and cozy. The party was in full swing. Children were laughing and playing, and adults were discussing news and enjoying treats. Everything was going great, and no one suspected that unfriendly eyes were watching Peppa's house. Labrador and I didn't notice the suspicious types right away, but our keen sense soon led us to an unpleasant suspicion.
While the guests were having fun in the garden, Dobie and I decided to look around and check if everything was okay. We noticed strange tracks behind the house and realized that someone was planning something bad. A few minutes later, we saw two strangers sneaking towards Peppa's house with the intention of robbing it. They clearly didn't expect to meet us there.
Labrador and I acted quickly and efficiently. While I circled the house from one side, Labrador took up a position on the other. We knew we had to prevent the robbery and protect Peppa and her family. At that moment, the robbers were already trying to break in through the back door, unaware that they were being watched.
When the uninvited guests realized that their plan had been uncovered, they tried to escape. However, we didn't give them that chance. Dobie tackled one of the robbers and pinned him to the ground while I quickly caught up with the second one. Thanks to our quick reaction and coordinated actions, we apprehended both criminals.
Peppa's family was very grateful for our help. We handed the robbers over to the local police and returned to the party. Everything happened so fast that most of the guests didn't even realize what had occurred. The party continued, and everyone was glad that it ended well.
That day showed us how important it is to always be on alert, even in a festive atmosphere. Dobie and I did everything possible to protect our friends and prevent the criminals from ruining the party. We are glad we could help, and once again confirmed that together we are an unbeatable team.
At the end of the day, when we were heading home, we discussed how important it is to always be ready for the unexpected. We are glad that our visit to Peppa ended so well and that we could prevent the robbery. It was another reminder that sheriffs are always on guard, and no matter what happens, we will always come to the rescue. And they also gave us a huge cake.
Not long ago, there was an incident. Could this be why Peppa became angry? Peppa Pig went missing. The whole town was in panic because Peppa is one of the most beloved residents. The locals immediately started spreading the word that she had disappeared without a trace. Dobie and I, of course, couldn't ignore this. We decided we had to help find her. When we arrived in Peppa's town, her family and friends greeted us, and everyone was very worried. Peppa had never left without notice, and leaving her little brother George behind was simply impossible. Everything seemed very strange.
We started by thoroughly examining the house. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. The doors were locked and the windows were intact. But I noticed a strange trail in the grass near the fence. It led into a forest located not far from Peppa's house. Labrador immediately pointed out that this could be an important clue. We decided to follow the trail. The farther we went, the more mysterious the trail became. At first it was clear, but soon it disappeared among the bushes. However, our experienced noses helped us find additional tracks that led to an old shed on the edge of the forest.
When we reached the shed, it was quiet and dark. Dobie and I couldn't understand what might be inside. I peered in and suddenly noticed something moving in the corner. It was something strange, almost like a shadow. We went inside and saw an old cage with Peppa inside. She was sitting there, crying and scared. It turned out she had been kidnapped by local troublemakers who decided to play a prank and hide her to see how everyone would react. They never expected us to be so quick on the trail.
Labrador and I quickly freed Peppa and took her back home. Peppa was shocked, but soon recovered and thanked us for rescuing her. The town was overjoyed when she returned, and all the residents gathered in the main square to congratulate us on the successful operation. The mystery was solved, and the mean troublemakers were punished. In the end, Peppa returned to her cozy life, and everyone was happy again. Labrador and I felt proud of our work, but the most important thing was that we brought Peppa home and restored peace to the town.
Once, some scammers came to our town and started handing out candy to the children. At first glance, everything seemed peaceful, and no one suspected that something dangerous might be behind it. But as soon as children started disappearing, Dobie and I realized that something was wrong. Soon it became clear that the candy was a trap. The scammers were kidnapping children to force them to work in their factories, making them do whatever they were told.
Yes, the situation was very tense. We started investigating, and it turned out that the scammers used a clever device that made the children lose consciousness. After that, they would take them to unknown places, where they were forced to work in a toy factory. Of course, we couldn't allow this, and as soon as we learned what was going on, we immediately took action.
First, we had to find the criminals' hideout. We knew they were hiding somewhere on the outskirts of town, but the exact location was unknown. We followed the trail, questioned a few locals, and found out that strange things were happening near an abandoned warehouse. When we arrived there, we saw that the children were indeed being kept in dark basements, forced to work on dangerous machines.
Labrador and I acted right away. We used our special team, sheriff detectives, to infiltrate the warehouse and neutralize the scammers. We didn't know how many of them were there and weren't sure if we could make it in time, but fortunately, we were prepared. We hid in the shadows and crept up to the main entrance. As soon as we saw the children working under the supervision of two scammers, we decided to act.
One of them even tried to notice us, but I quickly jumped out from behind the corner and detained him. Dobie immediately slapped on the handcuffs. The second scammer tried to run away, but I blocked all the exits, and he couldn't escape. We freed the children, and they immediately ran to the exit. We quickly notified all the parents, and they came to take their children home.
Labrador and I acted right away. We used our special team, sheriff detectives, to infiltrate the warehouse and neutralize the scammers. We didn't know how many of them were there and weren't sure if we could make it in time, but fortunately, we were prepared. We hid in the shadows and crept up to the main entrance. As soon as we saw the children working under the supervision of two scammers, we decided to act.
We've defeated the evil boss Peppa. Now she should start feeling better because this costume had infected her. We'll definitely visit Peppa soon, but for now, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. We're off to the next Roblox modes. Hello friends! Today Dobie and I decided to test our skills in a new obby parkour in Roblox. This mode was designed especially for us. It looks incredible. All the obstacles are as bright as a rainbow, but it seems we're in for a serious challenge. Guys, give us a like right now if you think we can handle it.
Hi everyone! Labrador isn't kidding. These rainbow platforms are stunning, but just try to stay on them. I already tripped on the first rainbow path, and it seemed to laugh at me. I hope we can get through all the levels without any losses. Labrador, are you ready?
Of course, I'm ready, Dobie. Although after the first jump, I felt like I was back in puppy school, trying to leap over puddles after the rain. But here, instead of puddles, there are entire oceans of colorful platforms. But honestly, it's so much fun that you forget how difficult it is.
I think I'm starting to understand why they made this mode for us, to test how we handle rainbow jumps. Labrador, did you see that narrow platform? It has already become my personal enemy. And these rainbow paths, they're like a rainbow ribbon, except you have to run on it instead of admiring it.
Yes, Dobie, this parkour isn't for the faint-hearted. It's funny how we, experienced sheriffs, are struggling with these rainbow stripes, but it sure lifts the spirits. Every time I manage not to fall, it feels like a small victory. Look, I finally jumped over that tricky rainbow.
Wow, Labrador, you're a real rainbow master, and I'm here trying not to slide off this spiral staircase. Well, friends, I hope you're enjoying watching us tackle these rainbow challenges. We won't stop until we reach the end.
And here we are again, almost at the end of this rainbow course. Friends, this is a real challenge for both of us, but it's so much more fun to go through all these obstacles together with you. I hope our falls and funny moments bring a smile to your face.
Absolutely! Every fall is an opportunity to start over and, of course, a reason to laugh. I just slid off this slippery rainbow path again, but I feel like I'm starting to become a real parkour master. Rainbow parkour has definitely become our new favorite game. What other Roblox maps would you like to see on our channel? Leave a comment and make sure to hit the like button.
Our Animal City has always been famous for its green parks and cozy streets, but one morning everything changed. I woke up to see that the rain had turned rainbow-colored. Everything around, from trees to cars, was painted in bright, shimmering colors. The water in the river became multicolored, and even the food in the stores took on rainbow hues. Our homes and buildings looked as if they had been painted with a magical brush. It was beautiful, but unnatural. Dobie and I realized that this was not just a natural phenomenon, but something more mysterious and possibly dangerous.
At first, we thought it was the work of some prankster or scientist like Professor Colorful, but it soon became clear that the reason was much more serious. We began our investigation and discovered that this was something new and unknown. We received reports from residents who had seen strange creatures resembling horned horses flying over the city. Then it became clear we were under attack by unicorns. These mythical creatures wanted to take over our city, and their power could change the entire environment.
As it turned out, the unicorns didn't just want to decorate our city. They wanted to transform it completely for their needs. We began looking for a way to communicate with them to understand their intentions and prevent a possible catastrophe. We found their leader, a majestic white unicorn named Astrid. He explained that their world was dying, and they were looking for a new place to live. They chose our city because it seemed perfect to them. But their methods were too aggressive, and this could destroy our way of life.
We realized we needed to find a compromise. We offered to help the unicorns find another place where they could live without destroying our city. Labrador suggested using the city's technology to create a safe and comfortable place for the unicorns. We worked together with city scientists and wizards to create a special sanctuary where the unicorns could live in peace and safety without harming others.
Our efforts were successful. We showed the unicorns the new place, specially created for them, where they could live happily. Astrid was impressed by our kindness and willingness to help. The unicorns agreed to leave our city and move to the new sanctuary. Gradually, the rainbow colors began to fade, and our city returned to its usual appearance. The unicorns, grateful for our understanding and assistance, promised to maintain peace and friendship with us.
So, we managed to prevent the takeover of our city and help creatures in need of a new home. This story taught us that peace and cooperation can solve even the most complex problems. The townspeople were happy to see the familiar colors return, and were proud that we had dealt with such an unusual threat. Our city became calm again, but we will always remember the Rainbow Day when unicorns attacked us.
Recently, a true champion arrived in our city, a leopard named Speed. He was known in the neighboring towns for his outstanding results in races and sprints. His arrival was a real sensation. In honor of this, we decided to hold a city competition to see who the fastest among us really is. Our streets were filled with excitement and anticipation, but the most determined one turned out not to be me, but Dobie. He was set on winning, despite his usually calm nature. Dobie was sure he could beat the leopard.
Of course, I couldn't pass up the chance to show my speed, but I knew that I couldn't just beat a champion like the leopard without something special to give me energy. At the store, I found some energy drinks and started drinking them. At first, it seemed like a simple way to get extra strength, but with each sip, I felt my energy increasing. I was filled with confidence that I could win.
Everything was ready for the start of the competition. We began with a light warm-up, and I noticed that Dobie started to look a little unusual. His eyes were sparkling, and his behavior became much more energetic. He was determined. But when the race started, no one expected him to run so fast. Dobie not only caught up with all the participants, but at one point, he almost matched the leopard's speed. And in the end, he overtook him. Everyone was in shock. Even I, the sheriff, who was always confident in our city, couldn't believe my eyes.
After the win, I felt incredible. My energy was at its peak, and I was so proud of myself. But after a few days, I began to notice that something wasn't right. My energy didn't fade, and I felt really anxious. I couldn't sleep and felt a lot of tension in my body. Then Labrador insisted I visit the doctor. We went to see a rabbit doctor who was an expert in such cases.
The rabbit doctor immediately examined Dobie and ran some tests. It turned out that excessive consumption of energy drinks had caused Dobie's body to stop functioning normally. He was on the verge of exhaustion. The doctor prescribed rest, a balanced diet, and plenty of water to bring him back to normal. Dobie was a bit embarrassed, but understood that it wasn't wise to overdo it with such things. In the end, everything turned out fine, and Dobie became his usual calm and balanced self again. But now he knows that victories aren't just about speed, but also about taking care of your body.
Now I know for sure that health is more important than any victory. I won the competition, but I had to learn from my mistakes. Thanks to Labrador and the rabbit doctor for their help. Next time, I'll train for the competition the right way, without any shortcuts, just using my own strength.
Recently, a strange and terrifying story unfolded in our city. It all began when a new ice cream vendor appeared. He was mysterious and a bit odd. His cart was decorated with bright flags, and he always wore a black suit with dark sunglasses. But something was off. The townspeople started noticing that after children bought ice cream from him, they would disappear. At first, it was just a one-time event, but soon several children went missing, and it became terrifying. Dobie and I immediately started an investigation.
At first, we thought the children might have just run away or gotten into trouble. But the more we kept an eye on the ice cream vendor, the clearer it became that something was wrong with him. We noticed that his van was always parked in the dark corners of the city, and his ice cream had a strange smell. People said it had some unusual flavor, but no one could quite figure out what it was. I decided to take action. Labrador and I went on a night patrol to find out what was really going on.
We tracked him down and found the van on the outskirts of the city. Inside was dark, and the ice cream vendor was standing, laughing, and preparing something behind the counter. As we got closer, we heard strange sounds, like children saying something from inside the van. It was way too suspicious. We decided to act quickly to prevent any more disappearances. Dobie, as always, was determined, and we prepared for a raid.
We brought everything we needed to make sure the ice cream vendor couldn't escape. The van was full of frozen ice creams, but in one corner, we found a large freezer. To our horror, inside we found the missing children. They were in a strange trance, sitting in dark corners as if under hypnosis. It turned out that the ice cream vendor was using a special type of ice cream that made the children succumb to his influence, causing them to disappear and become his hostages. We quickly freed the children and called for help.
And so our adventure comes to an end, friends. Dobby and I managed to do so many exciting things, but now it's time to say goodbye. It's been an awesome time, hasn't it? Hello, friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we have a special episode for you.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Sheriff Labrador, I'm already excited.
Together with my loyal partner, Sheriff Dobie, we're going to tell you about the most beautiful and challenging mode in Roblox, Escape the Carnival of Horrors Obby. This mode is simply incredible.
You find yourself in a mysterious and eerie carnival, full of dangers and unexpected twists.
Let's start from the beginning. As soon as you enter the game, you're greeted by a creepy carnival, dimly lit by lanterns. Dangerous traps and evil ghost clowns patrolling the area are scattered everywhere. Your task is to avoid them at all costs.
Exactly. Do you see that red balloon? We need to follow it. In the first stage, you have to be very careful and quick to avoid getting caught by the clowns. I recommend watching your steps closely to avoid traps.
Yes, and that's just the beginning. This clown world is huge, and I think we'll be fighting this clown today. By the way, do you know the name of this clown? Write it in the comments, and whoever guesses correctly will get a heart from us on their comment.
But inside, it's full of dangerous mechanisms. You must be very attentive and keep moving to avoid getting caught in the traps.
We need to get through these rusty pipes. The main thing is not to touch the fire or fall down. We can't forget about the final part, escaping through the horror ride. This is the most challenging part, where you'll have to use all your skills and agility to reach the exit.
Friends, this mode is truly amazing. It's not only difficult, but incredibly beautiful. We are sure you'll love it. Right now, we are in the heart of the Carnival of Horrors, in the clown's house. Just look at this grim place. We need to parkour through old, smelly pipes with a bottomless pit below us.
Yes, it's really scary. The smelly pipes are not only a test of our agility, but also a real endurance test. The smell is disgusting, but we need to focus and move forward.
Watch your step, Sheriff Labrador. If we slip, we'll fall into that bottomless pit. We must be very careful and watch each step. Let's move slowly and confidently.
Good plan, Sheriff Dobie. Do you see that narrow pipe ahead? We need to jump onto it and then move along the wall. The main thing is not to rush and keep our balance.
Great, I'm ready. Let's go, Labrador. You first. I'll cover you. This is probably one of the most difficult stages in this mode, but we'll manage, right?
Of course, Dobie. We're a team. All right, one jump, then another. Carefully, done. Now it's your turn, Dobie.
Got it. I'm coming. One jump, another. Yes, I did it. Now we need to walk along this narrow pipe. It's slippery, so hold on tight.
Of course, Dobie. We're a team. All right, one jump, then another. Carefully, done. Now it's your turn, Dobie.
Yes, it's a real nightmare. These saws spin so fast that one mistake can cost us our lives. We need to move very carefully and precisely calculate our actions.
Look, Dobie, the saws move in a specific pattern. If you watch closely, you can catch the moment when they stop for a split second. That's when we need to dash through.
I made it too. Can you see me? Wow! Look at this beautiful amusement park. Ferris wheel, roller coasters, and much more.
Now we're escaping from the scariest clown in this carnival. He wants to turn us into his dolls, and we urgently need to find a way to escape. Look ahead. There's a Ferris wheel. It's our chance to get to the top.
The clown is still after us. Let's go, Labrador. We can do this.
Yes, we're at the top. What a view! You can see the whole carnival from here. The clown won't catch us here.
Whew, that was intense. But we did it, Labrador. Now we're safe.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us likes. It's the best gift you can give us. Our animal town has always been a peaceful place, but recently we were shaken by a story connected to the amusement park. The park has always been a popular spot for family outings. However, with the arrival of a new clown, strange incidents began happening. He appeared friendly, but there was always something unusual around him. The townspeople began to complain about odd feelings and missing items. Dobby and I decided to get to the bottom of this.
From the very beginning, we noticed that the clown attracted children, but the parents looked at him with concern. We started the investigation trying to understand what was going on. In the park, we discovered strange traces and heard stories about how the clown was leading children in unknown directions. In the evening, the park closed, but some children didn't return home. Labrador and I decided to stay in the park after closing time to see what was happening.
When it got dark, the park turned into a place of shadows and suspicious sounds. We hid behind carousels and rides, observing what was going on. Soon, we saw the clown leading a group of children. They seemed hypnotized, following him without a single word. We cautiously followed them until they reached an old, abandoned tent that hadn't been used in a long time.
The tent was locked, but somehow the clown managed to open it. We carefully approached, trying not to give ourselves away. When we peeked inside, we saw a stage with bright lights. The clown started his performance, but it wasn't an ordinary show. He used strange tricks and magical illusions that seemed to mesmerize the children. We realized that the clown was using some dark magic to control them.
We decided to act quickly. I distracted the clown, pretending I wanted to see the show up close, while Dobie took the children out of the tent. The clown, noticing our presence, became angry. His face twisted into a malicious grimace, and he tried to stop us. But we were already prepared and knew what to do. We used flashlights to blind him and escorted the children to the park's exit.
We led the children to a safe place and called for backup. The clown tried to escape, but he didn't get far. When our colleagues arrived, we arrested him and started the investigation. It turned out that this clown was a former magician who had lost his job and decided to use his skills for sinister purposes. Thanks to our efforts, the park became a safe place for family outings again. Labrador and I returned to the station, knowing that we had done an important job. We told the townspeople this story so they would know that even in the safest place, dangers can be hiding. But together, we can overcome any difficulties and protect our town.
Recently, a new clown appeared in our town. He was so funny that he immediately became popular. Everywhere he went, people laughed until they cried. He performed street shows, visited people's homes, and entertained both children and adults. Everything seemed fine, but something wasn't right. Dobie and I started noticing that after the clown's visits, people's belongings went missing. At first, it was small things, but each day the number of disappearances grew. We decided to take control of the situation and figure out what was happening.
We began to keep an eye on this clown, but he was so sneaky that none of our observers could catch him in the act. He would go into homes, show his tricks, and everyone seemed to forget what had happened. But as soon as the clown left, valuable items were always missing, from watches to jewelry. Sheriff Labrador suggested we find out what was going on, and soon we were in the middle of an investigation. We decided to set up a trap.
One night, Dobie and I decided to keep an eye on the clown in person. We put on masks and went into one of the houses where the clown frequently showed up. When he arrived, we began to watch his actions closely. At first, everything went as usual. He entertained everyone with his jokes and tricks. But suddenly, during one of his tricks, we noticed his hand quickly slip behind his back and disappear into the host's pocket.
That was the moment of truth. Labrador and I realized that this wasn't just a coincidence. We started watching his hands, and soon we discovered that he was really stealing things while everyone was laughing or distracted by his show. He skillfully used his tricks to secretly take small valuables. We decided to catch him red-handed.
When the clown left, we immediately went to the house to check what had gone missing. And, as strange as it seemed, valuable items had indeed disappeared. We gathered our strength and decided to act. The next day, we met with the clown again, but this time, he didn't know we were preparing to expose him. When he started his new trick, we quietly surrounded him.
The clown tried to avoid us, but we already knew everything. He realized his trick had been uncovered and tried to escape. But Labrador was faster. We caught him, and it turned out that this clown was a master of pickpocketing, using his popularity to steal from trusting townspeople. After we arrested him, it was revealed that he was a thief, hiding behind the mask of a cheerful clown. But now, thanks to us, he would no longer be able to cause trouble in our town.
That's how we exposed this funny clown. He thought he could trick us, but it didn't work out that way. This time, the jokes were over. And now all the town's residents know that we don't joke with anyone who tries to deceive them. Dobie and I are back to patrolling, knowing that even the most amusing incidents can hide dangerous secrets.
When we returned to the station, we told the townspeople how important it is to stay vigilant. even when it seems like everything around is 100% safe. The clown thought his tricks would go on forever, but it turned out differently. Labrador and I are proud that we acted in time, and now the townspeople can laugh again without fear.
Officer Dobie and I are on the roller coaster, and right before us stands a massive carnival city. We're not just here for fun. We're keeping everything under control. But right in front of us, there's that terrifying clown.
Well, friends, the time has come to say goodbye. We hope you enjoyed riding with us on these roller coasters, following our adventures, and of course, staying alert. Until next time, and may your carnivals always be filled with joy, not threats.
Goodbye, everyone. Thank you for being with us. Don't forget to keep an eye on your surroundings, because even in the brightest places, mysteries can be hiding. Save us. Guys, watch this video until the end. Like it, and leave a comment, and you'll save us. Hello, friends. Today, Dobie and I have found ourselves in a real predicament. We've been trapped by the evil Karen, who believes she's the only beautiful person on Earth. Her house is a fortress filled with traps and secrets. We have to work together to escape. Karen is so wealthy that her house is packed with all sorts of gadgets she uses to keep us captive.
Hi, everyone. Yes, Labrador is right. Karen is a real villain. Her beauty is deceptive. Behind it lies a cold heart. She trapped us and wants to keep us here forever to be the only beauty around. Her house is indeed luxurious, but the atmosphere is sinister. You can feel her presence in every corner. Everything around reminds us of her vanity and pursuit of perfection.
Every room in her house is a separate challenge. We have to work together to activate hidden mechanisms and platforms that allow us to move forward. Teamwork is essential here. I press a button and a path opens up for Dobie. Then he does the same for me. Step by step, we advance despite all the obstacles Karen throws at us.
This really requires complete synchronization and trust in each other. Only then can we overcome these challenges. In some places, the house feels like a maze where it's easy to get lost. But we won't give up because our goal is to escape and stop Karen. Her control over this place makes her even more dangerous. But I believe we can handle it together.
Moreover, Karen's house is filled with mirrors and reflections. She obviously adores her reflection and thinks it gives her more power. But we must not succumb to her influence. Instead, we use it as a clue to find hidden exits or keys. Every action she takes against us becomes a new opportunity for us to find a way out.
The rooms where she keeps her treasures and jewelry are particularly interesting. These halls look dazzling, but they hide the most dangerous traps. Karen doesn't want anyone to steal her jewels, so she has done everything to guard them. However, in these halls, we can also find important items that will help us escape. We need to be extremely careful and attentive.
We understand that at the end of this journey, we will face a final showdown with Karen herself. She will probably defend her kingdom to the last, but we have no choice but to fight. We know that defeating her is the only way to regain our freedom. Karen may be strong and cunning, but our friendship and unity give us the strength to move forward.
We hope for your support, friends. With each step, we get closer to freedom and victory over Karen. This path is not easy, but we believe we can overcome all the obstacles. Your faith in us helps us keep going. Don't forget to subscribe and like.
Recently, something completely unusual happened in our town. I guess I should start from the very beginning. One morning, Madame Karen, the most beautiful lady I had ever seen, came to visit us. She appeared in the square, and her dazzling beauty mesmerized everyone around. It seemed like no one could resist her charms. Soon, we noticed that people started acting strangely. They began bringing her jewels and the most delicious candies, as if they were under some kind of hypnosis.
It was truly incredible. Every day, we saw the townspeople lining up to give Madame Karen their most valuable possessions. Labrador and I immediately realized that something wasn't right. Madame Karen didn't just appear in our town for no reason. She was clearly using her beauty to manipulate the townspeople.
We began an investigation. At first, everything seemed too tangled. No one could explain why they were so eager to please Madame Karen. Professor Owl, our old friend and sage, advised us to pay attention to the behavior of the townspeople. She suggested that Madame Karen might have been using some sort of method to control them. We decided to keep a closer watch on her.
One night, we decided to follow Madame Karen. She lived in a large mansion on the outskirts of town. We sneaked inside and discovered that there was a huge mirror ball in her room. It was a device that emitted hypnotic waves, controlling the will of anyone who came under its influence. We realized that we needed to turn it off immediately.
We came up with a plan. I took on the task of distracting Madame Karen while Dobie disabled the device. At the moment she started suspecting something was wrong, I engaged her in conversation. It was difficult because her beauty could really drive anyone mad, but I knew I couldn't give in to her charms.
Meanwhile, I made my way to the mirror ball. Turning it off wasn't easy. It was protected by a complex system, but thanks to our skills and experience in situations like this, I found a weak spot. I quickly dismantled the mechanism and shut off the hypnotic waves. As soon as the ball stopped emitting waves, all the townspeople under Madame Karen's influence started coming to their senses.
Madame Karen lost her power. Without the hypnotic device, her charms no longer worked. The townspeople began to realize what had happened, and they were filled with gratitude for our intervention. We arrested Madame Karen and handed her over to justice. She could no longer harm anyone in our town.
This story taught us a lot. External beauty doesn't always reflect true intentions. It's important to always stay alert and not be swayed by first impressions. Labrador and I did everything we could to protect our town and its people, and in the end, justice prevailed. Now, our town is peaceful and calm again. Everyone has returned to their usual routines, and there is no longer any fear of someone manipulating us.
Ah, dear subscribers, something unexpected and, frankly, quite strange happened in our town. Let me start from the beginning. One fine day, we noticed that all the most beautiful boys and girls started gathering together. At first, it was just small groups, but then the situation started spiraling out of control. These young residents of the town, all possessing incredible beauty, suddenly began to unite. It was like magic. The more they came together, the stronger and more attractive they became. And when their powers reached their peak, from their union emerged none other than the boss of beauty. I can tell you, it was something truly out of the ordinary.
And it really became a problem. The boss of beauty wasn't just beautiful, he was huge, powerful, and as I discovered, not exactly friendly. This giant started destroying everything in his path. He walked through the town, and his shining image literally made everyone fall to their knees. Some people were forced to look at him in admiration. Others tried to find the strength to turn away, but no one could resist his attractiveness.
I can't help but mention that this was truly a nightmare. Everything we knew about dealing with criminals wasn't helping. This wasn't a regular threat. It was a true wonder of nature. The boss of beauty wasn't just destroying buildings. He was destroying the morals of the townspeople, making them forget about the important things in life and focus only on appearances. This was dangerous for everyone because we had no idea how to fight it.
So, we had to act fast. We started gathering information on what could stop this giant of beauty. I suggested using an old trick. Sometimes too much beauty becomes inconvenient. We turned to the wise residents of the town, those who weren't so dependent on appearances. In the end, it turned out that to defeat the boss of beauty, we just needed to make him see the real, unidealized picture of the world. We decided to carry out an operation that would shatter his illusion.
We started by asking some of our friends, who weren't as attractive, but were very smart, to use mirrors and other reflective surfaces. We set a trap so that his reflection would show him something he didn't want to see. Mirrors outside, combined with reflective surfaces inside buildings, began to create optical illusions. We created such a reflection that the boss of beauty himself started doubting his own strength.
And it worked! The boss of beauty began losing his confidence. The mirrors started showing him that his appearance wasn't everything, and that there were other important things in the town. By the time he realized he couldn't control his emotions through his beauty, we took the opportunity to weaken his power. We ripped control of the town from his hands and destroyed the magic of his attractiveness.
And so, thanks to our plan, the boss of beauty stopped destroying the town. We brought him back to reality, where not only external beauty matters, but also inner qualities. This was a lesson not only for him, but also for all the townspeople. Beauty is important, of course, but it doesn't solely define who you are. We saved the town, and people began to appreciate not just appearances, but the things that truly make them strong.
Yes, we won, but I'll tell you one thing. We also need to be careful with beauty. Sometimes it can cloud the mind, but only true values will help us stay on the right path. In the end, what matters is what's inside, and our town is once again as it should be, harmonious and happily balanced.
After we destroyed her mechanisms and broke all the traps, Karen activated her final defense. She transformed into a giant right in front of us. Her entire body became enormous, and her eyes burned with evil. We knew this was our final battle. But how could we defeat such a giant Karen?
We quickly noticed that there were weak spots on her body, glowing brightly. These were clearly her vulnerabilities. But to reach those spots, we needed to distract her. We immediately realized that we had an unconventional weapon, the poop that Karen absolutely hated. It was just like her own gifts to anyone who didn't please her.
Karen started losing her confidence more and more. We saw her strength fading, and with every hit she grew weaker. Eventually, she collapsed to the ground, unable to stand before us any longer. We defeated her, not with strength, but with persistence and teamwork. Thank you all for watching. We defeated Evil Karen.